Welcome to Film Strip, movie reviews presented by Continuous Play Podcast. These podcasts are spoiler-filled as we discuss the plots, characters, and themes of the films in review. All content used or discussed in these podcast episodes is the property of the respective owners and used under the Fair Use Act, Section 504, C2, Title 17.
Welcome to Film Strip. I'm Jay.
And I'm Nick.
And this is our review of Jaws the Revenge, starring Lorraine Gary, Lance Guest, Mario Van Peebles, Karen Young, Judith Barcy, and Michael Caine. Directed by Joseph Sargent, released in 1987 on a budget of $23 million. Somehow, this grossed $51.9 million in the box office run. And Nick, I'm proud to say me and my mother were $14 of that. So, because we went and saw this in the summer of 1987, because, of course, I was a huge Jaws fanatic. I was 10, 11 years old at that point, and so she was like, oh yeah, we'll go see it. And I even read an excerpt of the novelization that was in Reader's Digest before this movie came out. I saw the trailers. I was like, yes, I'm down for it. And really all you need to know about this movie is that it stars Lorraine Gary, and that's the first thing. You just need to know that going in. So
what about Mario Van Peebles, man?
Well, we're going to come back to him. Yeah, oh gosh, yeah. But, I mean, really, though, I have distinct memories of seeing this in theaters, and we'll talk about the ending because we both watched this. It was running on Netflix at the time when we recorded this podcast, and the ending that's on Netflix is the original theatrical ending, but up until that one, you had seen the alternate ending on home video releases, and we'll talk about the difference there. But have you ever seen Jaws the Revenge before this podcast?
I have never seen it except for bits and pieces. The only thing I can say I have ever seen of this movie before viewing it actually today was I was at my aunt's house when I was a young boy, and this was on TV, and I remember seeing the scene of Mario Van Peebles getting eaten by the shark.
Yeah, right there.
It was just because I knew it was a Jaws movie. And I remember when I went back and I watched the original Jaws, I had that vision in my head, and I had somehow put Hooper's face on that guy and thought Hooper got killed on the stern of the boat. And when that never happened, I was just like, what the hell? I'm like, that's not my memory of this movie. And then Jaws Revenge was on I don't know, USA Up All Night or something like that. And also I saw the ending and I'm like, that's what it's from. It's from this one. And so, yeah, that's my entire background until essentially pressing play on Netflix today.
Yeah, like I say, I've seen this one several times. I actually didn't own it on VHS, oddly enough. I taped it off of a Showtime weekend or something once, so I had about worn that out. I do own it on DVD, and now that it's on digital, of course, I go that way with it.
Those are the best weekends, though. I remember having free HBO or free Showtime or Skinamax, and I remember my dad would go run to we had these little mom and posh, video stores, and we'd buy tons of blanks VHSs and then put it on the EP. Is that what it was? The long setting of it?
The SLP, the super long play. You can get 3 2-hour movies on one. Yeah. Yeah.
We would just put it in and record everything. I remember having just tons and tons of movies. And then when my grandma had a roommate when she was older and he died, they had HBO. But he used to do that all the time with HBO, and he just recorded every movie on there. So my whole movie, this is totally pointless to the podcast, but I remember when after he passed, I got his VHS collection, and I literally had hundreds of VHS of every HBO thing ever recorded, and that was really fun for an 11-year-old kid, if you catch my drift.
Dude, the way I watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer for the first few seasons was I was always working when it came on at night. I would just tape it and just tape several episodes in a row and then just watch it. I wore a VCR out, man. I know how to run one of those and set the timer on it. I thought that was the greatest thing ever. And I'm weird in technology. I skipped DVDs for a long time until the first DVD I ever had, like I said, was Jaws, and I finally got one. I didn't even do the Blu-ray. I've still never seen a Blu-ray, any of that. I just went straight to digital streaming. I kind of just skipped over Blu-ray, but I was all over that. But yeah, no, back to this movie, man. I again have distinct memories of it. And then like the end of that year when my birthday happened, like I had saved up allowances, done extra work or whatever, got a little money for my birthday, and like I went and bought the Jaws Nintendo Entertainment System game to play, which if anybody's ever played it, is the most insane game ever. You're just running around in a boat collecting dang conch shells, trying not to get killed by jellyfish and stingrays, so you can save up enough to power up enough to go and shoot Jaws about 500,000 times with a spear, so then you can try to stab it with the boat at the end. I mean, it's almost impossible. I finally beat it years later, but I remember playing that game and just playing it for hours at a time. And so I was all in on Jaws the Revenge, and I'd never forget watching it at home once. I think it probably with my dad, and him looking at me going, "You don't really think this is good, do you?" And then me going, "Well, yeah, it's a Jaws movie," and only to sort of sheepishly sit there and go, "Yeah, it's kind of dumb." So, and now I look at this film because it is so trendy to just trash this thing. You know, everybody trashes it, and everybody wants to kill on it and stuff like that. But I look back on this now and I realize that, you know, this series has been one that's been multiple genres, like we talked about. You had this adventure drama in the first one, you had this horror slasher in the second one, and then you had this disaster movie in the third one. Well, this one, man, is like the best Christmas Lifetime movie with a shark in it ever made, hands down.
Yeah, I was shocked. I mean, perfect timing for watching this because we are recording this during the Christmas season.
Right, it's coming out in January, but yeah, you're right. We're in the holidays now, and we're watching a Christmas movie with a shark.
Yeah, I was just like, wow, this is really, kind of topical for where we're at right now. So, yeah, I was shocked when I saw it was a Christmas movie. I mean, what the hell?
I can tell you, there's a reason for this, and you can lay it all on the director's feet. When Sid Sheinberg, who was head of Universal...
Is it Shane Black?
No. When he came to Joseph Sargent and said, "I want you to do the fourth Jaws movie, but here's the deal. We got to have it out by summer of 1987, and you got to, we don't even have a script yet. You got to have it be ready to film in, the winter, basically." And he said, "What am I going to do to make people want to sit through another shark movie? How can we make this interesting?" And he didn't, like, Sheinberg and him, like, they were very specific. Like, you cannot do what they did in Jaws 3. You can't do a parody, and you can't do something dumb like that. We got to do something that's a real, like, next chapter of the thing. And the only thing he could think of was, let's get it out of Amity and let's go to the Bahamas, and that'll be so
on
weird on Christmas. And there's also, and it's in the novelization, it's not here, I don't know if it was part of an earlier script that just got cut. There's a few lines that sort of allude to it. This shark is supposed to be possessed by like a voodoo priest who's trying to get back at Michael Brody in some way. We can talk about that as it comes up in different places, but he said, well, if we kind of introduce this mystical element, he thought that might be something different to do. Now, by the time they got around to making the movie and what's actually there, it's more of this like grief romance for 50-year-old plus people, in the Bahamas, and there just happens to be a shark.
I mean, I was expecting it to turn into a Viagra ad at the end. I mean, that's essentially what it is with like Michael Caine romancing Lorraine Gary.
Well, they got Lorraine back, and she said, "I'll do this, but you got to give me like a, you've got to give me a drama romantic interest." And what Sheinberg had said to Sargent was, "I want you to make a movie about people and not about an animal." And so the only thing they could come up with was like, well, okay, so Scheider's not going to come back, so okay, he's dead, and we'll say he died of a heart attack, and she'll say it was because he was afraid of sharks, and we'll kill one of the kids, and that'll send her flipping out, and it'll be all about Elaine's, grief and all this kind of stuff. And when they got Michael Caine, she was just like over the moon about this because, of course, she thought he was the greatest thing ever. And look, well-respected actor who at that point in his career had just decided to, I'm going to take jobs based on where you're filming. And when they told him Bahamas, he was like, "I'm down." And I love his quote about this. He's like, "I've never seen it. I hear it's terrible, but it built a beautiful house." And so I respect him for at least knowing he was signing up for just trash, but at least playing it straight. And by all accounts from her, he was so good on the set and played it so well and made it all, work. And I'm like, well, at least he tried. So I can say that. But, this is a different turn for the series. I mean, if anything, I thought they would go like more action, like Four Sharks or something, right? Why? I mean, that's the sci-fi way, right? But no, they go even more dramatic.
Yes, they went more dramatic and
with some of the worst actors you could possibly cast, or maybe the cheapest. They spent $23 million. They didn't spend it on the cast. They paid Michael Caine and they paid Lorraine, but they did not pay the rest of these people.
How would you have to pay Lorraine? My God, was she in high demand at the time?
No, but she's the studio head's wife, so she got a sweet deal on it. I don't know what the final figures were, but I mean, she's even said, I got a good deal on it and a much better one because I'm married to the studio head. So, look, if the original Jaws didn't get shut down with all of its problems because the studio head's wife was on it, then I can see them throwing a bone to her later on in life going, yeah, we'll pay you $6 or $8 million or $2 million and then a bunch of points on the back end of it to, be in this thing. I could see that. So, I know they paid Caine a good bit. He talks about it. He'll tell you. So, I guess we should do a plot summary though before we go any further, Nick. So, I'm gonna try to go through this, and no, it's not from the shark's point of view because the shark is barely in this movie. All right. Ellen Brody and her youngest son Sean, who's followed in his late father's footsteps as an Amity police officer, are getting ready for a great Christmas in their quaint New England town. However, fate or voodoo or something interferes, and a great white shark attacks Sean while he's on harbor patrol, killing him. Sean's older brother, Michael, a marine scientist, whisks Ellen away to the Bahamas to clear her thoughts and spend time with his wife and young daughter. Ellen insists Michael give up his work as an ocean researcher, but he dismisses her fears as grief, even though he's feeling some of the same too. However, the shark that killed his brother somehow finds its way to the warm waters, and he and his research partner, Jake, played by Mario Van Peebles, start tracking the fish unbeknownst to his family. While Ellen starts a flirty romance with a local short-range pilot, Hoagie, Michael Caine, the shark menaces Michael and Jake, and it finally emerges off the beach, getting near the young daughter. Ellen, in a fit of rage, steals Michael's boat and begins to chase the beast. Hoagie, Jake, and Michael arrive in an airplane to intervene when the boat is disabled. Hoagie gets the boat working while Jake rigs an electrical shock unit to kill the shark, but he's taken by the fish while implanting it. Michael uses the shock unit to anger the shark, and Ellen pilots the boat into it, jamming the broken bow point into the neck of the beast, killing it, or in the international release, blowing it up somehow, and Jake reappears having survived the attack. But either way, it ends with Ellen and saying goodbye to her happy family in the Bahamas and boarding a plane back to Amity with Hoagie as credits roll. And that is Jaws 4. And we have gone from man confronting his fears to I need grief therapy and how Stella got her groove back with a shark in the Bahamas, Nick, in 12 years. That's a bit of a whirlwind for a series. It completely is.
I'm shocked that we have got here. I mean, we've done movies and series with like kind of diminishing returns. I mean, we've done the Alien series where, we start off with really, two really good ones, an okay third one, and then kind of what it transpires into with the Josh Whedon abortion and then those two AVPRs. But this has to take the cake as far as just starting off so high and ending so low.
It's pretty big jump. I mean, the only one I can think even close is how far you get off track between John Carpenter's Halloween and Halloween 6: The Curse of Michael Myers. Now, I like Halloween 6. I can't give it, more than a small popcorn, but I won't lie and tell you I haven't watched it a lot and don't still watch it and watched it this past Halloween again. But that's a far cry from that first movie. And Jaws 4 is just about as much of a whiplash turn as that is for me. But that took 6 movies to get to. They did this in 4.
Well, I guess, you know what, I don't know, Jay. Why did we watch? You knew where this was going, and you made me stay this whole entire course,
did, man. Because I wanted to get to this, because like I said in the opening, it's trendy to smash this film. And yes, it was nominated for Razzies, and people hate it, and for good reason. It's a piece of crap, okay? There's no doubt. But even the guy that, invented the Razzie says it's one of the most, honorable best bad movies ever made. Like it's watchable. That's the thing. And this is the thing about this movie that gets me. The soundtrack to it, like the score, it's not John Williams doing the music, but it's the best version of that music I've heard. It sounds amazing. Like they spent money on the visuals and the sound. This movie sounds awesome. And it looks pretty good. The shark looks fake as hell, yes, okay? But it's the best looking one of the sequel sharks, like by far. Like you got to admit, this looks better than Jaws 2, and it looks way better than that crap in Jaws 3.
Yeah, but come on, that's like putting a bow on a turd. I mean, yeah, I guess it does look a little bit better, but it's not saying much. I mean, the shark, it doesn't look any better than the version in the first movie. And how many years has it been since we got from Jaws 1 and they couldn't improve the look of the shark at all?
About 14 years. I mean, it's about the same time length. And the thing is they're using the same ideas, the same models. We had not come far enough in computer graphics or anything for them to even think about doing that with these fish. And they made like 4 different ones for this. And one of them, the head, that's just the head, is actually just the head from the first one. And you can tell that when the shark is biting the side of the boat, the first time it kind of appears to Michael and Jake out there, you see all these scars across the top of it. They just sewed it back up. If you remember, Brody like stabs it a bunch before he ends up shooting it. At the end of it, it's the same shark head. They just were like, let's just sew that up. Nobody will know. Because they were just trying to get this crap done, man. Because here's the thing. The Bahamas in February sounds like a good idea, but it's actually just as much problems as trying to sink a shark and make it work on a crane and all that. It's the seawater is hell on electronics and mechanics, man. It just doesn't play well with those things no matter what they do. The effects crew got done there a month before they started shooting, and they realized there's so much we're not going to be able to do with this. And the funny thing is they do more with the shark here than they've done in a couple of movies. I mean, there are scenes where this shark is in full-on movement mode. It's going through a boat. It's attacking stuff. I mean, the thing that I don't understand is what decision was made in the sound editing where they were like, the shark needs to roar. I mean, we've had the shark roar. It growled in the last movie a little bit, but they went full like Tyrannosaur with this thing.
I just can't. I know you're talking about the shark and the look, man. I can't get over just when you see like the shark, especially when it's like jumping at the end. It looks like a giant tube. I mean, it's like, have you ever seen like a shark? It does. It looks like a giant sock. I mean, have you ever seen a shark in real life? And I'm sure everybody has.
Yes.
So it's a dumb thing to say, but it's like sharks are very aerodynamic and how they are how they evolved and everything like that. I mean, they're very like they're beautiful creatures, and this thing just looks like it looks like I don't even know what to say, man. It looks terrible. It looks like it literally looks like someone dipped a sock in like some cheap rubber, and that's what it is. I mean, it's something like, if you're playing like sock puppets with your kid or something like that, like if you had a shark sock puppet, that's what it would look like.
I can say this about it, all right? For years, people knocked this for like, there's no way a shark that big can get up out of the water like that. And thank you, Discovery Channel, for showing us that, oh yes, big great whites can launch themselves several feet out of the water and things like that. Now, the thing they don't do is dance on their tails and roar at you while you're electrically shocking them. But for years, people were like, this is the dumbest thing ever. There's no way that a shark could ever get up out of the water like that big. And, well, we've seen it. So, yes, that can happen. So, I guess kind of like Human Centipede, scientifically accurate, you could say about Jaws the Revenge. But I sound like I'm effusively praising what is essentially the worst movie in the series. And I guess I kind of am, but I do want to make it clear for anybody that thinks I've just lost my ever-loving mind. This is a bad movie. This is a piece of crap. I'll just spoil it right now. This is a small popcorn, all right? But it can be a good one. And there's some good gems in the small popcorn world. Like, Leprechaun in the Hood, things like that can be enjoyable pieces of garbage. And that's the thing about this movie, is can it be enjoyable? And I think a lot of that rests on the cast. And I just want to talk about the cast before we sort of walk through the bigger points of the movie here. Ellen Brody, now not Lorraine Gary, but that character, is that the right idea that we should center it on her?
No. It's gonna come out and say it right now. No, no one likes Ellen Brody. No one likes her. Okay, it's God. That is so bad. I mean, I'm trying to think like of like an equivalent of like a movie that we've done in the past where it'd be like, I don't know. I mean, it'd be like doing an Anaconda movie, Anaconda 2 if it was about Eric Stoltz's character or something, where it's just like, she's such a non-presence in there. I mean, all she was just basically, no, it's dumb. I can't even equate it to anything else. I don't know why they would think that, well, one, we need to bring back the Brodies again, and that we need to have this movie be a showcase for Lorraine Gary's like acting talent and the character that she had. No one cares what happened to her. You know what I mean? And it's not saying anything bad about, who her character was in the first 2 movies, but it's just pointless to go back to her because she had nothing to do with the shark in the first 2. I mean,
I'm with you there, and that's the thing here is if she had at least like been involved, like if she had been with the chief at the end of Jaws 2 and helped him electrocute that other one or something, but she never even saw these things. She never even knew what happened.
Oh yeah, no, she saw everything according to the end of the movie.
Well, we're going to talk about the sepia tone flashbacks in a second, but no, she didn't. She wasn't here for any of that. I get why you go with the Brodies because you're trying to keep some things familiar. I get the idea of you want to do the Brody brothers because that's the one thing Jaws 3 had right. That actually makes sense.
Yeah, but we already did that and it didn't work. I mean, it's right. Kind of like what we're saying, like with Alien 4. It's like, do you have to bring back Ripley? You know what I mean? It's you could tell other stories in this universe with that. With
I don't know. Can you? We did that in Prometheus, and that cast was horrible. So I didn't care about any of those people.
That was because it had Neil Blomkamp. not Neil Blomkamp. What's his name? Damien Lindelof. That's why they had him. Read the original script; it's much better.
Well, I have, and you're right. The Spate script is better. You're right. But okay, I get it. And okay, if you don't want to do the Brody brothers again, I don't know how you make this. Again, you don't want to make a movie about the shark.
Just make it about another shark. But that's what these movies have become. Is there's been so many movies out there where we've even talked about where it's look at like Tremors. You know what I mean? It's you got a fun B monster movie.
Right.
Why not just make it a fun B monster movie? No one's coming for Ellen Brody. They're coming for the shark.
I agree. And here's the reason they don't, though. It's because they thought they were doing that in Jaws 3, and that didn't work. And look, the studio head told the director, you have producing credit and director, you call the shots, just get it done on time. And so the last thing the director wanted to do was another action movie. He thought that was the wrong way to go. He said, you got to do the human drama. That'll bring him in.
Then at this point.
And, well, he's wrong, but that's what he wanted to do.
Pun intended, that ship has sailed. Okay?
It really has.
You can't go from Jaws 3 to making like a serious like drama movie, And even Jaws 1 was not like a serious drama movie. Yes, it had great character beats and great character arcs in it, but in the end, it was a shark movie. It's just that those elements elevated it. I mean, it's like Alien. I'm going to keep on bringing up Alien here. It's like that was a B monster movie, and the entire thing was the characters and the actors elevated it, much like Jaws. So it's once you already get out of that thing, it's like people are there now for the steak and potatoes of the movie, and that's the shark and the shark killing people and the people fighting against the shark. And that's why it's just pointless to bring back the Brodies, in my opinion, because again, how can this happen a fourth time? And then that's my other question too, is Jaws 3 like completely ignored at this point? Because I guess you could kind of say that one, he was kind of a marine biologist or whatever in the first one, so I guess that kind of makes sense.
No, they will tell you now, this is all the press materials on this is the third film in the Jaws series. They ignore Jaws 3 as if that never happened. And so Michael is not an engineer. He's a research scientist. So they do go with the fact that he works around water. They kept that, but he is in no way supposed to be an extension of that SeaWorld worker. His brother is not a college guy who went back to Amity to become a cop. It's no.
So this is like the original like Superman Returns, where they're just going to ignore a bunch of movies.
They ignored the other sequels, or if you will, it's Halloween H2O that just said 3 through 6, just forget that. And that's what they did. So I get it. I mean, like I see the impetus. I don't think it's the right idea. I agree with you there, but I see why they would go with it this way.
they're going with it because they didn't have any ideas. I mean,
yeah, they had to do it fast. You're right. Look, they came to him in 1986 in the early fall and said, well, "This has got to be out by next July," and he knew he had to put it together in the fall and winter of '86 and get it shot in '87. And they didn't even have a script; they had nothing, so they had to start.
I don't even think they even had a script when they were finished making this movie. Okay.
Oh, they had one, but here's the thing too, and you don't discount this again. Sid Sheinberg said, and my wife is the star. And he said, done. And look, Joseph Sargent had directed her in a thing that he got like acclaim for before. And so he's like, yes, fine, I can do that. And this is what they came up with. And I don't know how much of Michael de Guzman's script is really here and how many other people wrote on stuff. I kind of get the sense that Sargent had a lot of say in it, but there's a lot of other things out there that make me think that there were several people writing bits and pieces here and there. Matter of fact, I think Michael Caine they've all said that he pretty much just made the character Hoagie up as they went. They just kind of let him be, how would you romance this woman? Well, this is what I would do. And he just did it. And it worked because he's an extraordinary actor and can do that. And they let Mario Van Peebles let's just talk about it now, okay? Jake is the funniest character in this movie because he's got that horrible, stereotypical Bahamian accent going on, but he slips in and out of it like all the time. Like when he wants to be serious, he just talks like he normally talks, which is the weirdest thing. I mean, like, there's that scene where he's, giving Michael a bunch of crap about they're working late, and then Michael's like, hey, man, I had to go bury my brother. And he's like, oh, man, look, I'm really sorry about your brother. And, like, he says it like he normally would. And then he starts going, I missed you, man. And I'm like, oh, my God, what are you doing? So that tells me that this director had no idea what he was doing on this set. He just let these people kind of go because he figured, who cares? It's all about Ellen. It's all about Lorraine and then the shark.
Is this before New Jack City or after?
No, this is before New Jack City. New Jack City's 1991, so this is before Mario did that. But it is after, like, Heartbreak Ridge he did with Clint Eastwood. And, he was, look, his father, Melvin Van Peebles, is a well-known filmmaker, and Mario was coming up at the time. So he was somebody people would know. I mean, he wasn't, like, this great star, but he had been around. I mean, he'd been on a lot of stuff at this point. So
he's kind of like the Michael Bean.
Yeah, he's kind of, a little bit. Yeah, I mean, really, the thing he's coming off of is Heartbreak Ridge. That's like the biggest thing he had done at this point. And people would know him from that. He was a memorable side character in that film. But he would go on to do such great things like Highlander: The Final Dimension, and Blowback, and The Hebrew Hammer, and good stuff like that. So, but I mean, look, he had been on L.A. Law. He had been on One Life to Live. People would know him. And particularly people who would go to a movie because, Lorraine Gary's in it, would know who he was because he had been on a soap opera. So that's why you put him in there. Why you let him do this awful accent. It makes no sense at all that he has this accent. Like, the two other guys, I don't know if they're natives or not. They nail it on the boat. But, like, why didn't you just let him be and they even had this whole argument him and Michael do about, how he's trying to act like he's, all street and tough, and Michael's like, you're just as city as I am, why couldn't he just been another smart ass kid from Amity? Like, that would have been better for me. Mario's performance is bad
because they had a dreadlock wig that he had to wear.
No, that's real. That's his hair. So there's Mario, and okay, I got nothing really on Sean Brody. We'll talk about how he dies here, but this guy I know from exactly one other thing. All right, he was in a TV movie where they did the story of the Carpenters, right? And he was the brother Carpenter. In that, the singers. And I remembered that. And because my mother and father...
Why would you be watching a movie on the Carpenters?
Because my mother and father were big Carpenters fans, and when that came on as movie of the week, we watched it, and I watched a lot of this stuff as a kid, and it just stuck with me,
was this like a double feature with like that movie about Roseanne and like her obsession with Elvis?
It might have been. I don't know. It was on television. I mean, that's what it was in, but I remember him being on that, and I mean, I know he did a lot of other stuff too, but he played Richard Carpenter. That's the thing I knew him from, and actually he did that a couple of years after this. So what was funny for me was when I saw the Richard Carpenter, I was like, oh, that's you. And then even stranger though, he showed up on Party of Five for a while back in the day, and I was like, "Oh wow, it's Sean Brody or Richard Carpenter." So I know Mitchell Anderson's work. I'm proud to say that.
I'm just gonna lay this out there. It took me a while to get you onto a show like Game of Thrones, and you're dropping all this stuff on me, and I'm just like, who am I talking to? Carpenters. Party of Five, One Life to Live, Guiding Light.
I did not watch One Life to Live or Guiding Light. Okay, I was a Young and the Restless guy. Okay, and
that's not any better. Man.
I know, but I
General Hospital.
I didn't watch
All
General
My
Hospital.
Children.
I had a crush on Robin on General Hospital. Everyone did my age because she's my age, and so that's what you did. Look, man, I spent 2 summers like laid up in hospital beds as a kid, and you watch what your mom watches. All right, that's part of it too. So,
they call that they call that Munchausen syndrome.
No, I'm pretty sure I didn't suffer from that. But anyway,
no, but making you watch that's making your kids suffer.
All these years of this podcasting, and just now you realize I have bad, taste for bad stuff. Holy cow, man! I mean, how much of this
I thought it was an act.
I did. Oh my gosh, no! I'm a connoisseur of bad television and cinema. That's what makes this show what it is. So, and I'm not the only one like that. There are other freaks out there just like me. But back to the movie now. They do Amity, and they actually shot this in New England in like February, so all that snow is real. Everybody's freezing their butt off. And I just can't get over like all the they're doing Christmas carols in the background and all this stuff. And it just blows me away. And then when they go to the Bahamas, now it wasn't until my adult life, 20 so years later, that I actually went to the Bahamas and saw it, and from my own eyes, and the water and how clear it is just blows me away. And also, we talked about last time how in the lagoon, the man-made thing, how could you not see a friggin' shark like that from miles away? How can you not see this monster coming at you from 10 miles away in this water? It's like the shark materializes out of nothing. It really is mystical.
I don't know how they can't see the shark. I don't know. I'm still just like, I still think the funniest part of this movie, though, is the opening with the Christmas carols and Mike Brody going, is it Mike? Yeah, Mike or Sean?
Sean Brody's the one that goes out to get
Okay, Sean. And him going out there to like, something's wrong with the buoys or something like that, and he's got to go out there to investigate. And like, the shark is like a freaking ninja. Okay, it's like, he's like, goes up and just gets the arm and then, bites it off, and like, oh my God, terrible. I mean, he's in the boat screaming, and he's got like, supposed to like this little nub of an arm, and you can see the other arm underneath his jacket. I mean, he goes from like looking like, okay, a normal looking guy to like he's laying down, and it's like, well, either his arm's underneath his jacket or he just like gained like 75 pounds of weight.
No, it's like he put on a Kevlar vest or something all of a sudden. His chest gets so much bigger. It's like they couldn't even like pull it around behind him or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
Let me ask you though, you just said the shark was a ninja. The opening of this movie is the shark.
Did the shark like plant that there?
That's what I wanted to ask you, because the opening of this movie is the shark bobbing up and down, and like it goes to a piece of wood, and then the next thing we know, we're doing Christmas carols, and he's getting called to pull a piece of wood out of a channel marker, and I'm like, did the shark like set that up?
I'm gonna say yes. It had to have set this up, because this shark is a freaking genius. I mean, for him to be able to like navigate the waters all the way down to the Bahamas to exactly where they are, this shark is probably the smartest creature on the planet.
Look, we get a scene where they tag the shark with the electronic device. I want to know when the shark tagged them. So that he can follow him. He's got like LoJack on him or something, man. In the book, the novelization of this is hilarious, because this is in the novelization, this is just a random shark attack, and then like the voodoo priest gets a hold of this thing, and you get the shark's point of view as it travels through the Bahamas, and it fights like a whale and a what do you call the squid.
It sounds better than what we got, though. At least,
it is. If they had shot that, there'd be such a better movie. Yeah.
You know what? I'll say this about movies is like, as ludicrous as a premise as you want to set up, as long as it makes sense within the confines of what you're doing in the movie, that's fine. You know what I mean? I don't care if it's like so stupid, but it makes sense. This doesn't make any sense at all. The shark sets this up. The shark like ninja attacks him. And then the shark, I mean, how many miles is it from freaking New England down there? I mean, it's at least got to be like, what, like 1,500 miles or something that the shark swam?
Longer than that. I mean, you're talking at least 2,500 miles easily. So, I mean, it's...
and to get down there that quick. I mean, it's like a speedboat.
Yeah, I mean, and well, he gets down there in a couple of weeks. I mean, there's a lot of time that passes here. So, I mean, it takes a while
that's
for it to get there,
fast, though, to get down from there.
No, it is. You know what? You're right. It's actually about 1,500 miles. So you're right. It's not as far as I thought it was. But still, that's 1,500 freaking miles. That's a long way. But you know what? Sharks do migrate a long way, and they don't tend to do that because they don't go to that warm water. And they even have that scene where the mother's freaking out. You know, they're in the kitchen after the funeral, and she's like, I want you out of the water. You're going to stop working in the water.
So, yeah, you want to get out of the water. So let's go to the Bahamas where it's all water. That makes so much sense. I'd be like, you know what? Let's go to Kansas City. You know what I mean?
I get it, though. Look, my mom died a couple years ago. I did everything I could to try to get my dad out of the house. Let's go do something. Let's go somewhere. Let's do things. And if he hadn't gotten sick himself, we would have. You know, because you try to get him in somewhere else, and all he's thinking is, I got your granddaughter here who's 5, who adores you.
Jay, you know, if your mom died from a bear attack, would you go take your dad out camping in like the wilderness? Would you do that?
Good point. Probably not. So,
there we go.
Yeah. Good point. So, but either way, well, look, this family is awful, and we know that.
Well, it's not that they're awful; they're just stupid. I mean,
they are dumb.
What they do is stupid.
They are the smartest, or the dumbest smart people we meet in the thing. So we get to go to the Bahamas though now, and I love how like the way that they convince him. The one thing that gets me here is like how close Ellen Brody is with her daughter-in-law. Like they have some frank discussions that I'm like, man, I really hope people don't. I mean, I don't know if you talk with your father-in-law about how much you're banging your wife, his daughter, but that's pretty much what happens later in this movie. And I'm like,
every Christmas, Jay. Every Christmas.
Well, so this was home for you then.
Well, we'll have sausage for Christmas, and I'm like, you know who likes sausage? That's always comes up.
God. I can see this now. So, but we get introduced.
The funny thing is, I'm not lying. So.
I didn't think you were. We get to meet Hoagie here, though, Michael Caine, and I will say this. Michael Caine probably gives the best performance in this movie, and that's not a high bar that he's having to jump over by far, okay? But I do think he develops a real rapport with Lorraine Gary. He sells it, and I get that he's kind of a jack of all trades. He's a little mysterious. I mean, in the book, he's a drug smuggler, too, and they kind of allude to that here, but you know, he just, I deliver laundry, you know, or whatever. But I liked him as sort of this old guy that, I think, you know, he reminds me of? He reminded me of the older bartender character in Cocktail that Tom Cruise played opposite of, Brian Brown's character, Coughlin. Like, I kind of thought he was like that, but not nearly as suicidal as Coughlin was. And I liked it. I thought he was fun. I like Michael Caine's performance here. In a bad movie, yes, but he's good in it.
Sure. Go with sure. He's not good in here. I mean, you again, it's like, yeah, is he better than everybody else? Yeah, it doesn't mean he's good. I mean, he's better than everybody else. Again, I'm going to just use so many analogies in this podcast. It's like, yeah, I had very bad explosive diarrhea yesterday, and today it wasn't as bad. So I'm not going to say that my bowel movement was good today. No, it was just a little bit better. And that's Michael Caine, okay? He is like the less smelly diarrhea of this movie as far as
I would say maybe he's the less burnt hamburger off the grill. Maybe that's it. But, you know.
No, we're sticking with the bowel movements for this movie. So.
I talk food and soap operas. You talk sausage and shit, just so everybody's clear. So, but no, we get him. And look, there's a lot, like I wrote in my notes here, there's just lots of Lifetime romance and stuff that happens for about 40 minutes.
No, it's not. I've been watching Lifetime movies this entire weekend, man. I'm like on this Lifetime Hallmark Christmas movie kick, okay? And they're not this bad.
No. I'm talking about Lifetime movies of the era, though. No, newer Lifetime movies are built to be so bad they're good. Like Ron and I do a whole show on this. I'm with you. The older ones, though, the Mother May I Sleep with Danger style ones or whatever, no, those are pieces of crap. All right, and this is right in line with all of that stuff. All of it. It's right down the same line with it. It's
I
Sunday
suppose.
night.
I'll take your word
romance.
for it. Man.
Look, every Sunday night movie on the networks in the 80s was either your teenage daughter doing drugs, your teenage son getting kidnapped, your teenage daughter and son committing suicide, or old people doing romance. It was like a friggin' rotation, man. You could set your clock by it. And that's exactly what they're doing here. And it's lots of that kind of, we're supposed to believe in this romance, and then there's this tension between Michael and his mother and his, the hoagie. And I've seen like people like try to really draw that into some very dark places, that he's like having this whole Oedipal thing. And I'm like, I don't think that's at all. I think this dude is like, I just don't want this creepy old guy scamming on my mother in her, vulnerable moment. That's kind of all I think.
Well, we got to get into it though. I mean, why is she single? Well, Chief Brody died of a shark-induced heart attack. That's what they're saying in the movie.
So she claims that
you got to take it as fact, man, because you know what? It's not as any ludicrous as anything else in this movie. Okay.
The son says it's just a heart attack, Mom. And she's like, the fear of it killed him. I'm like, well, not really. It's probably that all those electrical volts he took out in the friggin' ocean.
Yeah, he probably had like a terrible arrhythmia after that.
I mean, really, I could buy that, right? Like, that makes total sense. So, and it doesn't even, like, she's still working, in town. The son still lives at home, even though he's a deputy and about to get married. It's not like he left them well off, or something like that. She still lives in Amity.
He's got to have some type of life insurance policy through the police department.
I'm sure he does. Again, I don't think Ellen's hurting for cash, but the point being is, it's not like, she went to go live on Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous when this is over. She didn't go hang out in the Hamptons. She hung around in Amity, for goodness sakes. And we don't even know how long that's been. That's the other thing that ticks me off. You go to the police department and there's this friggin' publicity still of Roy Scheider. And I can only imagine he got paid for that. He's like, oh, my picture's in that movie? Oh, you're paying me some money. Because I'm not going to be in it, but if you put my face in it, then I want some dough. So his face is in this movie, but he's not. And the thing
here's
is, though,
my question: did they try to get him back?
Yes, they wanted him back for it was supposed to be him that got killed on the opening scene instead of Sean. It was going to be him, and he said, absolutely not. He wanted nothing to do with that. He did the same thing that Sigourney Weaver did for Aliens versus Predator. She's like, absolutely not, under no circumstances.
What is wrong with these people that made this movie?
So you don't like that idea? Tell me why, though.
Of Brody getting killed by the shark, because it spits on everything that came before it. I mean, come on, that even spits on the Jaws 2 legacy. To think that he would get like ninja attacked by a shark would just be terrible for his character. I'm so glad that he probably put his middle finger up and walked away.
He was not. I don't know what he was doing at the time. Probably Sequest or something else, but he was not interested in.
I mean, that is as bad as like Halloween Resurrection and Jamie Lee Curtis coming back for that.
Okay, I want to clear the air on this because I did it in that show, but people keep saying that Jamie Lee Curtis voluntarily came back to do that.
Oh, I have no doubt she did, because she had nothing else going on, but that was still bad for her character. I mean, she's dumb.
That was supposed to be a 30-second cameo, and when she read the script, she said, I'll do 15 minutes of it. I like this. Because she liked the fact that it finally wrote her out of it. We got to stop bringing that up as the example. She voluntarily did that crap. Okay?
It doesn't mean it's a good decision if she voluntarily did it. It doesn't mean it's good. It just means that she wanted a paycheck, okay? It doesn't.
So she did what Brett Favre did the last end of his career. He just went to whoever would pay him.
Yeah, but unlike Brett Favre, though, when she retires, she's not going to have that in her freaking, Hall of Fame locker, okay?
This is true. Can I tell you something, though, that I like about the movie? I'm going to give it a real compliment here, like a serious one. The underwater chase, not the first time that Jake and Michael encounter the shark, but the time that it goes after Michael and he's in the little mini sub and it basically eats the sub and he has to swim away from it, and that whole chase through that sunken boat and all that. I liked that. I thought it's the best tension-filled bit of this crappy movie. Like, it works.
Yeah, but you're forgetting the scene, though, too, when the guy's in the sub and, like, all of a sudden, like, the shark is, like, right next to him.
Yeah,
poking his head in.
that's Mario Van Peebles. Yeah. Just sort
Yeah,
of bumps him.
that's hilarious when the shark shows up right next to him and's like, "Hi, how you doing?"
You can see the crane in that shot, and the one where it eats the thing as Michael said it. Yeah, but
well,
no,
that's their fault for doing it in such clear water. I mean, you're going to go down to a place that you can see 100 feet down. You're gonna
exactly.
see every wire.
I know,
that you put in there.
But again, that's why I think this scene works, because they put it in a dark space so you don't see the wires dragging the shark through the dark boat. And I liked it. Again, I had no doubt that he was going to live and get out of it, but there is some tension in there as the shark breaks through the wall and is chomping at him and stuff, and he has to, he gets that great idea of unloading his air in his air tank and letting him shoot him up. Of course, it would give him the bends and kill him, but unless he let go of it a little quicker. But I like the ingenuity of getting out of it, and I like the tension of that scene. It's the only part of this movie where there's any tension at all. That's the thing, is even in Jaws 3, as dumb as that movie was, there was some created, there's about 5 minutes of tension there, when the mama shark kind of goes off on everything and starts wrecking the park. But this movie has none of it, save for this couple of minutes.
I guess. I was expecting, though, when he got shot up out of the way, that the shark was going to, kind of snap his fins and just go nuts. Almost had him.
Well, if it had been Jabberjaws, he would have. But
oh, God, it should have been Jabberjaw.
Hey, I loved that cartoon. That was awesome. So he was great in the Laugh Olympics. But anyway, so Michael has all these nightmares, of course, about it. And how could he not, right? And we haven't talked about his wife any here, who is she is either
the most sexually frustrated wife in a movie ever.
How could she be sexually frustrated? They get on 3 or 4 times in this movie. They screw that one night on the date. They screw in her art
She's
studio.
never satisfied. He's just sitting there dreaming of sharks.
Clearly. I mean, really. So, but no, she is so the most supportive, into him, not real person in this whole movie. I mean, I've been married a long time, happily married.
With hair like that, how could she not be?
I've been married a long time. You have too. That does not happen when you have a 5-year-old. Does it? That is not real for people, is it?
Not that I know of.
I mean, that is. Yeah, I'm that's Playboy dream. And he's over there worried about his mother on a date. If my wife flung her underwear at me, I'd be I don't care. The world could be ending outside. So don't care.
Well, it should have been like the end of Munich, where he's sitting there, sitting there freaking out about the shark and using all his frustrations out on her. That would have been awesome.
Maybe that's where Spielberg got the idea. So we never know. But no, she's an artist, though. And here's the thing. She's doing this big piece of art that's going to be unveiled at the local government or whatever. And when you look at the thing, I mean, it's I don't know. I've never not looked at this and not seen a shark in it. It looks like a shark, right?
Yeah, it does. It looks like a shark.
See, and
they should have used that for the shark as opposed to the shark that they're using.
It's one. Well, there's 2 things about this that I want to say. One, it's a big metal piece of sharp things. Let's put that on a public beach where the children are, because that's a great idea. Because they're going to stay away from it. And 2, it's obviously a shark thing, and this is more of the voodoo thing. She subconsciously she doesn't even know what she's making. She's just doing this, and I think that was in the script even up to a late point, because when Ellen first sees it, she freaks out looking at it, and I'm they don't explain that at all, and it can only be because she looks at it and sees what's there. She sees the shark in it, because every time that woman gets in the shower, she sees the friggin' shark. She's she washes her hands in the sink, she thinks about a shark. So how could she not? They dropped that, and it's a wasted moment, because it's a good idea. I kind of like if you're going to go with this mystical bullshit, at least go with it. Do it. Don't just leave that hanging out there unexplained.
Oh, they should have had the artwork turned into a shark and then had this movie come full circle.
Well, it would have been complete magic at that point, right? Yeah, the artwork jumps out, and there was no shark up until she put that on the beach, and then it jumps in the water and becomes a shark.
Exactly.
Here you go. Okay. I mean, if you're going to do it,
medium popcorn right there automatically.
You'd have gone for that, right? So
yes, at this point, I'm looking for anything that would be funny, instead of frustratingly funny.
The shark biting the woman on the banana boat, that's not funny to you? That is a hilarious kill scene. It's ridiculous.
I've been on a banana boat before. I don't want that to happen to me.
So it's giving you PTSD.
Yeah, I'm having Ellen Brody flashbacks at this point. I'm never going to be on another banana boat.
Let's talk about the flashbacks for a minute, because they happen in the middle of the movie, and they happen at the funeral, and they happen at the middle, and then they happen at the end. She has these sepia tone flashbacks of things she wasn't completely there for. The first one is the scene in Jaws when the little boy and Roy Scheider are like doing the little mimic faces back and forth, to which we only think she maybe saw the very end of, but she sees the whole thing. There's times when like she sees her son Sean getting killed by the shark, the scene earlier done in sepia tone. She wasn't there for that. And then the end of it where Roy Scheider is shooting the shark and killing it, she sees that. How does she do this? Is she psychic? Is she just piecing it together from what people told her? What the hell is with those things?
It's just bad movie making at this point. That's the only thing I can say about it. I mean, there's no reason or any explanation she would have for being able to know what happened there. I mean, I guess it is almost like Munich, where he's like remembering all this stuff that he wasn't there for. Hell, even like Saving Private Ryan, where he's having a flashback of like D-Day when he wasn't there. So, hey, Spielberg did copy this movie in multiple movies. So
I'd never thought about that one in Saving Private Ryan, but you're right. So now that you say that. So.
Spoiler alert.
I'm pretty sure, that one is probably okay to spoil at this point. But she loses it because, of course, the shark goes after the granddaughter and doesn't get her, but it gets, whoever's riding the back of the banana boat. And a very bloody scene, very bloody movie. And that's everywhere. And then somehow the shark disappears in that cloud of blood. In that clear beach. I don't know. But there's that. And then she like steals her son's boat to go after the shark. And you remember when I told you in Jaws 2 that the Brodies have this penchant for jumping into seacraft, not knowing what they're doing? I guess that just carries over. Like she's figured, well, my husband did this once, I could do it too. Like,
well, I'm going to ask you, what's your boat experience in life? How many types of boats have you operated before?
I have operated sailboats and canoes, my friend. I've never operated anything with a motor.
A boat that size.
Yeah, this is like a 25-foot boat. Yeah.
That's bigger than... I have a 22-foot boat. This is like a 35-foot fucking boat that they have. Okay? That's a monster of a boat. And for her to be able to just get behind and start like knowing how to operate it and taking it... This isn't like going out on a lake, okay? This isn't like even going out on like a Great Lake. They're out in the ocean. And for her to be able to navigate... And where is she going?
That's the thing. It's not like she sees a fin and she goes after it. She just starts driving into the distance. And I'm like, what are you doing?
She's lost her mind at this point.
Yes, she has completely
and she's operating this boat by herself.
Yes, that's the other part. It took 4 of them to run it before.
No. No, a boat this size you cannot operate by yourself, especially being a novice, okay? I could see maybe she's like an expert seaman or something.
Yeah, she doesn't even go in the water. Here's the thing. She doesn't even go in the water, man. She's building a sandcastle with the granddaughter. Her feet touch the water, and she's like, she starts losing her mind about that. Like, she cannot.
So she takes out a boat she's not qualified to operate out into the freaking ocean with no destination. Oh, my God, this woman's so dumb.
It is crazy. And the only thing that it tops it is Michael and Jake go out in like a little skiff to chase her down, and Hoagie sees him and he's like, you ain't never going to catch her in that. And they say, well, what do you want to do? And he gets in the plane and they start, hunting her down. And my thought is like, okay, so if you find her in the plane, is Hoagie like already saying, I'm trashing this $250,000 aircraft no matter what over this woman I met a week ago because she's in a boat? Or maybe I should just call the Coast Guard. and go, hey,
Yeah.
why don't we kind of steer her to the side there?
Yeah,
So-
let's land our water plane next to this boat that this woman doesn't know how to operate.
It's not even a water plane. It's just a plane. He does the Thunderbird landing or the Thunderball landing.
You're
with
right.
it.
I thought it was a water plane. You are right.
No,
yeah.
he does the Thunderball with it. He just crashes in the damn ocean. Because again, he crashes a, I said $225,000. It's more like a $2 million aircraft that he just trashes. And he's got a brand new one at the end. I'm like, hey, you got some hella insurance, bro. So, how did the other plane, that shark? Huh? So, I mean, you can see the adjuster on that, right? So, come on.
So
I mean,
you took the plane out. Why?
and you
and
fed
what
it
was
to the
your-
shark.
And what was the goal here? I gotta document this all.
I love how Mario Van Peebles has that line too about like the shark's going to be attracted to the electro whatever of the plane, and like his mouth's not moving. I'm like, oh, we dubbed that. Like we felt like we needed an explanation for that for the audience because somebody said, how did the shark go for?
Yeah,
the
but
plane?
you know what? You loved it when they took down the helicopter in part 2, so why not take
Because
down the plane?
Because that was awesome. That was a great scene. It came out of nowhere. You knew it was coming, and yet you didn't. And the way that happened, you get it. Look, those long tubes that helicopter was floating on looked like a seal. So you could justify it. And plus, that shark was a slasher. We've already said that. That was Jason Voorhees' shark. That's what that shark was supposed to do. This shark is voodoo shark. I don't know what it's supposed to do other than materialize and dematerialize like friggin', Doctor Strange and out of the movie here. I mean, it's crazy how this thing zips in and out of reality. So, if only that had been
he's
that
got
way.
a portal gun. We're just gonna.
That's what it is. He might as well have at this point. So we get them to arrive. The boat, the plane goes down because Jaws eats it. And I was like, really? Ate a plane? And like Hoagie gets not one, not two, at least 4 jokes about eating the plane. In there. And I'm like, did they give him all those lines and then they ended up just using them all? Because I'm certain that couldn't have been on purpose, right? Or maybe it was.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it. Yeah, they probably gave a bunch of lines like, let's just use them all.
That just felt like Michael Caine riffing, and they were just like, you know what? We'll just go with it. And they just went with all of it. So I don't know. It was crazy and inexplicable. And then I love though that Jake's got this master plan. He's got like one flashlight looking thing, and he's going to stick it in the shark, and then the other guy's going to hit a button on the other one, and it's going to take like school picture flash bulbs, and it's going to make the shark like angry. So, did you understand at all what they were doing there? Because I've seen this movie 20 times, and I'm not really sure. I mean, they explain it, but it doesn't make any sense.
Nope, no idea.
They electrocute the shark. That's all I can tell you is that they defibrillate the shark. But the way they do it though is Jake goes out on the bow point there with no line to pull him back, and he shoves that in the shark's mouth as it jumps up 40 feet out of the air, and it of course grabs him in the process, and he goes down with it. And in the original ending dies, and in the international lives, but he goes down stabbing the thing with the stick.
With the stick, yes, he did. Yeah, it's. I still don't know how he could have survived that. You're telling me in the international cut that he survived that. I don't know how.
Again, all the home video releases of it, Jake lives at the end of it, people. So I mean, yeah, unless you've watched this on Netflix with us this time, you know what I'm talking about. It's out there. So you can watch it on YouTube too. I'm sure it's out there. But no, it sets up our big end here, though, right? Because the boat's flooding. It's we've already set it up that it's a piece of garbage boat anyway.
It's a big something at this point.
And they get the engine running just enough, and Ellen decides, I'm just going to steer right for the shark because that's what I need to do right now with my life. And her son is flash bulbing the shark, and it stands up out of the water roaring at them as if to say, stop shocking me. I got it. And then she stabs it, and what has to be the bloodiest ending of any PG film I had ever seen in my life up to that point, and maybe since. I mean, this is, you gotta admit, they spent the money on the shark dying here at the end, because it is, I mean, it goes on for several seconds of it writhing and basically tearing the front of the boat off as it's being, stabbed to death.
Yeah, and it's even funny though when they this action scene is like so funny because like they keep on like cutting to Lorraine Gary and like it doesn't even look like she's even steering the boat. They just keep on like a close up of her and she's just like, ooh, intense look. Then shark jumping up, intense look. And then they do like a little side view of the boat, like showing like the Brody kid on there, and you can see the bow point of the boat is like right there. It's not even in the shark. It's so bad.
It's bad, but I'm going to tell you, it's not as bad as the international and what had been the home video release. The explosion ending, that don't make no damn sense.
But then the whole front of the boat like gets ripped off, and okay, then the shark, obviously dies. But then they make it back to land somehow with like, how?
Well, okay, that is set up. They actually do a whole bit on the radio with Hoagie like having a 30-second conversation with somebody about you need to send some boats and some people out here. Here's my coordinates, and like so people are coming for them, and like he gives them a specific location. So they do say that there's a reason they got rescued.
I guess, but that boat's going down quick with that.
There's plenty of wood to float on too, man. It's not like they can't swim to the shore. It's only like 20 feet the other way. It's not like they went out in the middle of the Atlantic and did this. They didn't get that far offshore. So,
I don't know. It's just so ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, but it's no more ridiculous that the explosion ridiculous makes no sense. Like, that's the dumbest thing ever. Like, they didn't set that up at all. There's no reason that should have happened. If you want to say Jake lives...
That's such a movie trope, though. It's like a car flipping over and it blows up. It's like, hey, you might as well just have the shark blow up at this point.
What's more believable? You stab the shark with the front of your boat and it blows up, or you shoot an air tank and it blows up? Well, the air tank, obviously, because they at least set that up with some faux science earlier. There's nothing about what the system they rig up in that shark that is remotely explosive. They don't even have TNT on this thing. That's not how they do it. It's dumb. At least this ending, the stabby ending, I'll call it, makes sense for what it is. It's dumb, yes, but it looks cool. It's much cooler than the other one. You can't tell me that blow up ending is better than this one.
No, it doesn't look cool. It doesn't. It just looks bad. I mean, okay, yeah, there's a lot of blood and the shark roaring. Sharks can't roar.
No,
but,
we set that up. We've already talked about that.
Yeah, but like I said, they should have went back to, my Jaws 2 explanation and said that this is like a genetically engineered shark. It'd make more sense.
Well, if they had kept going with this, that was the next one, which ultimately became Deep Blue Sea, from what I understand, but they didn't. So, what do you make of the ultimate ending, though, that everybody's fine, pretty much? She leaves the people in the Bahamas, and she goes off with Hoagie back to Amity to wine and dine and hear more of his, goofy stories.
It's fine. I don't really have much to say about it.
Again, it's older white fine. Stella gets her groove back. That's what it is. So
I guess, yeah. Like, she had to take him back, I guess he doesn't have a plane anymore, so he's probably...
No, he does. He's in a new one. Like, other people are getting on the plane, too, and you kind of get the sense that Hoagie's going back with her. I'm like, how does Hoagie still have a job?
I guess this guy's like a millionaire because he's just got planes coming out of his ass.
Well, that's the thing, is they're not even his. That's the thing, is he worked for some other person. Like, I'm like, man, this guy would not be working anymore, but whatever. So
yeah, I think something, I don't know how actually having a license to fly a plane works, but something tells me he's not going to have his after doing all that, after purposely crashing a plane into the water.
I don't care how heroic your intentions were. No, but it's not like they can't go find the body of that shark. It's about 20 feet down.
The FAA would be all over it.
No, they can find that shark. That shark is in a museum right now. They've unplugged the front of that boat out of it. They're like, how the heck did this thing get in the Bahamas? Like, there's got to be people studying this. And it's even like the E.T. kind of scientists would be down there going, how did this happen? So Men in Black, something is going on. So it's all part of the Bilderberg group and it'd be like the Men in Black coming down to check that out. The Bohemian Grove, they'd be talking about how that shark got in the Bahamas, man. There would be people digging into that. But I think we've dug into this one long enough. So time to get final thoughts, recommendations, popcorn ratings. I've told everybody what mine is. It's small popcorn. But Nick, what's yours for Jaws the Revenge?
Large popcorn.
You liar.
No, it's a small popcorn. This is a bad movie, and sometimes bad movies can be fun, where they're so good they're so bad they're good, but this is just bad throughout. I mean, it is watchable, but it's like watching like a bad car accident, and you're just like, you can't keep your eyes off of it. I mean, it's a bad movie. None of it makes sense. The story that they came up with is fucking terrible. The acting's terrible. The shark's terrible. The plot's terrible. Everything's terrible. The only thing cool about this was there's a banana boat. So,
and it gets eaten. So.
And it gets eaten by a shark. A shark ate a banana in this movie. So it's a small popcorn, very small popcorn for me. Burnt small popcorn.
Well, like I said, small popcorn, but I will say infinitely watchable as a bad movie. It's terrible, yes. It's the worst one of the series by far. I would rank them in order. I think they descend perfectly. Jaws 1, 2, 3, and 4 go right down the line. But and this one's bad, but it is fun. It's fun to watch in a group of people if you want to watch a bad movie, and make fun of stuff. And it's short. It's the shortest one. It's not even 90 minutes long, so it's an easy to get through. So again, if you're a fan of like we've talked about, bad Lifetime romance and movies that don't make any sense, then this one's right up there with you, folks. I mean, it's right as inexplicable as anything else. So I'll give it that and say au revoir to the Jaws series, as it were. Now there's some other shark movies out there. We're gonna take a break from them for a little while, Nick, but we'll come back and do some more recent shark bait. We're not gonna do Sharknado or anything like that, people. So chill out. But we're gonna talk about a movie called The Shallows that had Blake Lively in it. It came out in 2016. That got a lot of critical acclaim, and there are a couple others we're looking at out there. So if you've got a favorite shark movie you want us to take a look at, hit us up on the Facebook page, or hit us up on Twitter. You can find us there and let us know what you got in mind. We'll take a consideration at it. We don't do requests per se, but if you got a good suggestion, we're always open to it.
We're going to do the complete retrospective of the show Shark Tank.
No, we are not, even though it might be apropos, but no. So
what about the James Woods show?
No, not that one either, Shark, even though Dora Baird's in it. But speaking of which, she is in a sequel of a series we are going to do in 2017. Hadn't quite slated when we're going to do it yet, but it's kind of the big horror one we hadn't done yet, man. It's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We got to get into those at some point, and you said you wanted in on that, so
yes.
We're going to be talking about that, the 4, I guess, original ones, and then the 2 Platinum Dunes remakes, and then that random one that they made a couple years ago, and they're supposed to be coming out with a new one. Got another one coming out, so we'll try to time that somewhere around when that one comes out. If we don't get it right on time, we'll get all of them in.
And also there was another Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie that was made by Toby Hooper's son or something like that. It was about the Bill Moseley character that sings on YouTube.
I didn't know this, so we'll look into it, and we'll have to see if there's a reason to review that as part of the series. We've got that going in 2017.
We did Jaws Revenge, so there is no reason not to do any movie at this point.
Theatrical release versus YouTube release. I don't know, Nick. The last time we did straight-to-video releases, it was Hellraiser, and we got into a dark road with that. And there is another one of those coming out in 2017, so if that actually happens, I guess we'll pick that one back up and do it. Kurt and I are going to be reviewing 10 of the Stanley Kubrick films throughout the year. Those are going to space out and around, and we got all kinds of stuff planned, so who knows what we'll come up with here on Film Strip. As always, folks, you can always find our stuff on our iTunes feed. Every episode is there, all the way back to when we were doing Ghostbusters and stuff, and I'm going to tell you right now, those shows are very different from the show we've done for the last 3 or 4 years, but they're still there, and we've got a big variety and everything. But check us out. Leave us a review if you like the show. It helps other people find the show. And then hook up with us on social media. We're all on Twitter. You can join us on Facebook. Go to the Fabish Factor Film Podcast page. You want to join that, let us know. That's Kurt's page, and really it sort of started out as a page for his podcast, but the podcast doesn't exist so much anymore as much as the show and the discussion does. But we kind of put all of our stuff up there too, in addition to our Facebook page. So catch up with us there. Let us know what you think. We appreciate your support. Until next time, for Nick, I'm Jay. Thanks for listening to Film Strip.
Thank you for listening to Film Strip. You can find more episodes on our website, continuousplaypodcast.com/movies. Please leave us a positive review on iTunes and link up with us on Facebook. The Film Strip theme music is produced and performed by Frozen Lake 121.